I don't even know what I expected him to do. Maybe yell, maybe slam the door, maybe walk out and never speak to me again. But he didn't do any of that. He just stood there, for a second, maybe two, and watched. And then he stayed. That was the beginning of everything unraveling. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We weren't broken. That's what makes it hard to explain. We weren't distant or cold or constantly fighting. We had our routines. Coffee in the morning, shared playlists, a messy drawer in the kitchen that only he ever organized. We had a good rhythm. Steady. Predictable. Comfortable. Too comfortable, maybe. His name's Adam. We'd been together 5 years, married for 2. Bought a house together, a small one with a crooked porch and a noisy fridge. We argued about paint colors, laughed about bills, had lazy Sunday mornings. I never thought I'd be the one to destroy it. But maybe that's exactly why I did. There was something about comfort that started to feel like drowning. Not at first, just in small ways. I stopped putting on makeup in the mornings, stopped reaching for his hand at the movies, stopped missing him when he traveled. I told myself it was normal. Love matures, lust fades. But inside, I felt like I was disappearing. Then one day at work, a girl in the office was talking about a massage place she found on Instagram. "Legit changed my life," she said. "Not the sketchy kind, I swear." We laughed, but I looked it up anyway. The place was close, affordable. The guy's profile had that curated aesthetic: dim lighting, slow motion oil shots, gentle captions about energy blocks and somatic stress. I booked a session. The first time was normal, relaxing, quiet. He asked what kind of pressure I liked. I told him I'd had tension in my lower back. He worked quietly, respectfully. Hands firm, but not too firm. I left that first session thinking, okay, that was nice. But I went back, not because I needed to, because I wanted to. Because I liked how I felt walking out of there. Loose, light, noticed. His name was Nate, mid-30s, fit in that understated, wiry way. Soft voice. Hands that moved like he knew exactly what your body would do before you did. There was nothing flirty about him at first, but I started noticing small things. The way he adjusted my hair gently when it got in the way. The way he held my eye contact a second too long at the end of a session. The way he smiled when I said I'd book again next week. We started talking. Just little things. Weekend plans, favorite music. I told him I was married. He said, "That's nice." But the way he said it didn't feel like a wall. It felt like curiosity. The third session, something shifted. He asked if I wanted to try working without a towel. Said it could help with deeper muscle release. I paused, then nodded. Nothing happened that day, but the tension in the air was new. Charged. I left flushed, skin warm, mouth dry. I told myself it was nothing. A professional interaction. But I also started checking my phone for his appointment reminders like they were something else entirely. Then he messaged me one night. Not about booking. Just, "You left your bracelet here. Want to swing by and get it?" I hadn't realized I left anything, but I went. His place was small, clean, low lighting, same as the studio. He handed me the bracelet, smiled, asked if I wanted a glass of wine. I said sure. We talked for maybe 20 minutes. I don't remember what about. At some point, the space between us disappeared. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't even rushed. It just happened. He kissed me like he already knew what I needed. And I let him. I didn't think about Adam. Not once. Not then. Afterward, I felt electric. Not ashamed, not torn, just awake in a way I hadn't felt in years. And that's what scared me. Because I didn't want to fall in love. I didn't want to leave my marriage. I just wanted something to remind me that I still existed as a woman, not just a wife. And I let that be enough of a reason. We started meeting once a week, sometimes at his place, sometimes mine when Adam worked late. I kept it clean, no perfume, no text messages left open. I became good at covering my tracks. Too good. Then came the night it all cracked open. It was Thursday. Adam was supposed to be out late with a client. Nate came over around 7. I lit a candle, played music low. We didn't even make it to the bedroom. The living room floor, everything soft and slow and dangerous. I'd left the front door unlocked without thinking. The key turned in the lock. My whole body froze. Adam stepped inside. He stopped. I saw his eyes before I saw anything else. Then he saw us, clothes mostly off, breathing heavy. His wife and a man he'd never met. The silence was violent. He didn't yell. He didn't slam the door. He looked at me, then at Nate, then back to me. "So this is what it is," he said. I couldn't speak. He dropped his bag gently on the floor, walked into the room. I waited for him to leave, but he didn't. He sat down on the edge of the couch, his eyes on me. "Go ahead," he said. My heart was thudding in my ears. Nate looked at me. I looked at Adam. And I moved. Not because I wanted to humiliate him, not because I didn't care, but because I was already in it, exposed. And something about him staying, about his voice so calm, so controlled, it made me feel owned, seen, stripped down in a way I hadn't expected. I touched Nate's arm again. My hands trembled, but my breath was deep. There was no hiding now. Every movement felt exaggerated, more visible. Like I could feel Adam's eyes on every part of my body. Not in rage, not in sadness, but in this eerie, intimate way that somehow made it more charged. I don't remember everything we did. I remember the heat in my face, the tremor in my thighs. I remember Adam still as a statue at first, watching like he was studying something he'd never understood before. I remember closing my eyes when Nate touched me again, but opening them almost immediately, because I wanted to know if Adam was still looking. He was. And then he moved, not to stop it, not to push Nate away, but toward me. He knelt down, touched my wrist first, then my jaw. His hand was warm, familiar, but different somehow. Heavier, like it carried something with it that hadn't been there before. He kissed me, not like someone reclaiming what's his, but like someone testing if what's his is still real. And I kissed him back. That moment, the three of us, no words, just breath, skin, confusion, and fire. It wasn't love, and it wasn't hate. It was something beyond either. Like everything broken between us exploded and rearranged itself into something neither of us could name. I felt everything at once. Shame, power, surrender, control. And somewhere inside all of it, a terrifying kind of clarity. I wasn't afraid anymore. I wasn't even surprised. I had crossed the line so far back that now I was walking blind through the dark. And they were walking with me. When it ended, Adam got up. He didn't speak for a long time. Then finally to Nate. "You can go." Then to me. "You could have told me." I whispered. I didn't know how. He looked at me for a long, long time, then said, "No more lies." And I promised. And I meant it. But I didn't keep that promise. After that night, we didn't talk about it. Not really. Adam didn't ask what Nate meant to me, didn't ask if it had happened before. He just cleaned the living room, poured himself some water, and sat across from me like it was a normal night. I sat there wrapped in a hoodie, knees up, unsure what came next. He said, "So, what happens now?" I didn't know how to answer. "I'm sorry," I said. He nodded. "I don't want to lose you." He slept beside me that night. Not touching, but close. The next morning, he made coffee, handed me a cup. I thought that meant we were okay. And for a little while, we were. We didn't bring up Nate. We went on walks, ate together. He touched me more, and I let him. I tried harder. I cooked. I laughed. I acted like someone who wanted to be better. But something inside me kept whispering, "This isn't over." It wasn't about Nate. I cut him off. But the version of me who started that, she wasn't gone. One night at dinner with friends, Adam reached under the table and placed his hand on my thigh. Gentle. Familiar. But I didn't feel warmth. I felt pressure. Like he was asking, "Are we fixed now?" The next week, I met someone else. Just briefly. He smiled. I smiled back. That was all it took. 2 weeks later, I was at his place. It didn't mean anything. I didn't care about him. But I liked the way I felt when he looked at me. Free. Real. In control. I went home after. Showered. Adam kissed my forehead. Said he was proud of me. I smiled. Said thank you. Felt nothing. The next time, I didn't even pretend it was a mistake. I planned it. I wore something he'd never seen. I deleted the texts after. And every time Adam held me, I stayed still. Not stiff, just gone. He never asked. Maybe he was scared. Maybe he already knew. And maybe he didn't care anymore. After that night, we didn't talk about it. Not really. Adam didn't ask what Nate meant to me. Didn't ask if it had happened before. He didn't even say his name. He just cleaned up the living room, put the pillows back, blew out the candle, folded the blanket I'd barely thought to throw over us. Then he poured himself a glass of water and sat across from me like it was a normal night. I sat there in silence, wrapped in a hoodie, knees to my chest. He finally said, "So, what happens now?" I didn't know how to answer. I wasn't even sure what had just happened. Was it rage? Was it forgiveness? Was it some new kind of punishment I didn't understand yet? I said, "I'm sorry." He nodded. Not like he accepted it, just like he heard it. Then he said, "I don't want to lose you." And I wanted to cry when I heard that. Not from guilt, from the unbearable ache of being loved that much, even after doing what I did. He slept beside me that night. Not curled up, not touching, but close. Close enough that I could feel his breath shift when I moved. And I laid there, eyes wide open, wondering what he saw when he looked at me now. If he was trying to erase it. Or if he was holding it like a bruise, pressing it gently to feel where it hurt. The next morning, he made coffee. Poured 2 cups, just like always. No tension in his face. No resentment. Just quiet efficiency. And when I reached for the mug, his hand brushed mine and stayed there. That 1 second of warmth. I think I believed it meant we'd be okay. And for a little while, we were. He didn't bring up Nate again. I didn't either. We had dinner, took walks. He made love to me slow, like he was trying to rebuild something with every touch. And I let him. And for a few weeks, I was all his. We started talking more. Not about the cheating, but about us. He opened up in ways he hadn't in months. I listened. I touched him more. I cooked. I laughed. I did everything I thought a woman trying to be better was supposed to do. And part of me really believed I meant it. But there was another part. Small, quiet, buried under everything. That kept whispering, "This isn't over." It wasn't about Nate. I blocked his number. Never saw him again. But the version of me that met Nate, she was still there. She was still restless. Still drawn to the edge of something. Still hungry. One night, Adam and I were at dinner with another couple, friends of his from work. We sat across from each other at the restaurant, and for the first time since everything, he reached under the table and rested his hand on my thigh. Gentle, sweet, claiming. And I smiled. But inside, I panicked. Because the warmth I used to feel from that, it wasn't there. Instead, it felt like pressure. Like a test. Like he was asking, "Are we okay yet? Do you love me now?" And I didn't know how to answer. The next week, it happened. I was at the gym. Nothing unusual. Same Tuesday routine. I was walking to my car when a man asked if I'd dropped something. My water bottle had rolled. He handed it to me. Our fingers touched. I looked up. He smiled. I smiled back. That was it, just a moment. But it was the first crack. 2 days later, he was in my DMS. 2 weeks later, I was in his apartment. I told myself it was different. That this wasn't emotional. That this was just an accident. A relapse. I didn't even like him that much. But I liked the way I felt when he looked at me. Free. Dangerous. Real. And when it was over, I went home. Showered, got into bed. Adam kissed my forehead and told me he was proud of how hard I'd been working lately. And I smiled and said thank you. And felt nothing. Nothing except the knowledge that this time, I wasn't going to stop. Not because I didn't love him, but because I couldn't go back to being just one version of myself again. The next time it happened, I didn't even pretend it was a mistake. I planned it. Picked the place. Wore something he'd never seen. Deleted the texts right after. Came home and folded laundry like it meant something. And every time Adam held me, I held still. Not stiff. Just absent. He never asked. Maybe because he was scared. Maybe because he thought asking would break what little we still had. Or maybe, and this thought chills me, maybe he knew. And didn't care anymore. I started to notice it in the little things. The way Adam stopped asking where I was going. Or how my day was. The way he kissed me goodnight. Soft and brief, but not really looking at me. The way he touched me with careful hands like he didn't want to feel too much. It wasn't that he grew cold. It was worse. He stayed kind. He still made tea for me when I had cramps. Still carried the groceries. Still remembered which laundry setting I always got wrong. But there was a slowness in him now. A quiet distance. Like someone who had already packed his bags in his head. After that night with Nate, I thought I could rebuild something. I even believed I wanted to. But then I cheated again. And again. And by the time I fully admitted to myself that I wasn't going to stop, something in Adam already had. We were still physically close sometimes, but it was slower. Quieter. He used to hold me after. Now he turned to his side. I'd lie there staring at his back, trying to memorize it before it disappeared. One night we had dinner with his sister and her boyfriend. Laughed, toasted, passed dishes. Adam reached across the table and took my hand. I let him. Smiled. But I didn't feel anything. Just skin. That night, I told him I was going to take a shower. He said, "Okay," brushing his teeth. I stood under the water longer than I needed. Steam filled the mirror. When I came out, he was in bed, reading. "Good water pressure tonight," he said. I laughed. Yeah, that was it. It's scary how quickly intimacy becomes performance. At some point, I started sleeping with someone from my old yoga class. We barely knew each other's last names. It was impersonal, mechanical. But I kept going back. I didn't want connection. I wanted control. Deep down, I hoped Adam would find out. Not to punish me, but to end the pretending. But he didn't. Or he did and just never said. The worst moment came one Saturday morning. We were sitting on the porch, both holding coffee. He was watching birds. I was staring at nothing. Out of nowhere, he asked, "Do you still love me?" I froze. He wasn't angry, just quiet. I said, "Of course." He nodded. "Okay." That was it. He didn't press. And I knew then that something inside him had shifted for good. He used to know when I was lying. Now, I think he just didn't care. He stayed at work later, took longer showers, started locking his phone again. We were both hiding now, moving through the same house like ghosts who didn't want to admit they died there. Sometimes I'd hear him laughing in another room, not loud, but freely. And I'd wonder if someone else was making him feel that way. And instead of jealousy, I felt relief, because it meant maybe he'd leave before I had to. We stopped being intimate altogether, not by decision, just by silence. I spent more nights out, kissed him less, touched him less. He didn't ask why. I think he was already practicing. One night, he came home later than usual. He smelled like a different kind of cologne. His shirt was wrinkled. His eyes looked lighter. I didn't ask. He didn't explain. Just said, "You ate already?" I nodded. "Okay." He walked to the fridge, and I realized he wasn't chasing me anymore. I was the one being left, and I couldn't blame him, because I built this distance, and now we were both just living inside it. The night I realized he was gone happened on a Wednesday. He was in the kitchen drinking water, the same way he always did. Same shirt, same tired eyes. But I could feel it. He wasn't really there anymore. We hadn't fought. No drama, no tension, just absence. Like someone had opened a window and all the warmth had escaped. He came in, nodded once, opened the fridge, pulled out leftovers. Didn't ask if I wanted any. I didn't expect him to. He microwaved the food, ate standing. We didn't speak, and somehow that silence felt normal. Too normal. We moved around each other like two people who used to be married. I kept cheating. Not compulsively, habitually. It wasn't exciting. It was maintenance. Like scratching something numb just to see if it could still feel. Then one night I came home late, expecting him to be asleep. But he wasn't. He was sitting in the dark in the living room. "Hey," I said. He didn't answer right away. Then quietly, "You know I'm not stupid, right?" I couldn't speak. "I'm not asking for a confession. I just want you to know I know." He stood, walked to the bedroom, and closed the door. That was it. Not a question, not a threat. Just a quiet release. He wasn't going to fight me or try to fix it. He was done. And all that control I thought I had, it turned to ash. Over the next few days, he still did the basics. Bought groceries, watered the plants, forwarded me emails. But the hope was gone, and I felt it, like a pressure drop in the air. I opened the closet one day and saw a bag in the corner, half packed, a jacket, sneakers, nothing dramatic, just enough. He didn't hide it. He wanted me to see. That night, we went to dinner, some old place we used to love. I wore lipstick. He complimented it. We made small talk. When the waitress said, "You two seem really happy," we both smiled. Back home, I reached for him in bed, lightly, my fingers on his wrist. He didn't pull away, but he didn't turn to me either. We laid there like that. Still. Parallel. Almost touching. The next morning, he was gone early, a note on the table. Meeting ran long. Coffee's on. I haven't seen that bag in the closet since. Maybe he moved it. Maybe it's in the trunk of his car. Maybe one day he'll use it. And maybe, when he does, I won't even blame him. Because we're already living like he's gone. It was a Sunday when he left. No suitcase, no slammed door. Just his coat, his keys, and a look I hadn't seen before. We woke up late. He made coffee. I burned toast. The dog barked like always. It all looked normal. Maybe that's why it felt final. I asked if he wanted eggs. He said no. He was calm. Not cold, but calm like someone who had already made peace with leaving. I sat across from him, coffee in my hands, and he watched me quietly. "You okay?" he asked. I nodded. "Yeah." Then he said it. "I think I need to go." "Where?" I asked. "Just away, for now." No anger, no explanation, just a soft ending. I didn't ask him to stay. I didn't beg. Because deep down, I didn't know what I wanted him to stay for. Not love, not safety, just memory, just habit. He stood up, walked to the door, and something slipped from his jacket. He picked it up and tucked it back. Later, I found it under the dresser. A list. My name, dates, times, places, no questions, no confrontation, just proof. He knew. He had known for a while. And he let me pretend. He paused at the door, looked at me, and said, "I loved you the whole way through." And then he left. I stood in the kitchen. No tears, just silence. The apartment didn't feel empty. It felt full. Heavy. Like everything I'd done was still there, sitting in the air. I made the bed. I made dinner and didn't finish it. Went to bed early. The sheets were too smooth. The next morning, he was still gone. Of course he was. But part of me hoped. Hoped he'd walk back in. That this was just space, but it wasn't. He didn't come back. His shoes were gone. His charger, his toothbrush. Friends texted. "You two okay?" "Haven't seen you around." I ignored them. I didn't want to lie, and I couldn't tell the truth. I didn't miss Adam the way I thought I would. I missed how he made me feel. Like someone worth holding on to. Like someone still good. Still trusted. That woman only existed when he looked at her. Now I look in the mirror and barely recognize what's left. I didn't start therapy. Didn't write letters. I'm not healed. I'm just quieter now. More aware. More alone. And sometimes I wonder if he was the last person who really saw me. Because I'm not lying anymore. But no one's asking either. Time passes differently when no one's waiting for you. I never realized how many of my choices were tied to him. What to cook. When to come home. What show to watch. Now I just do things. I eat when I'm hungry. I leave the lights on. I fall asleep with the TV still playing. It's been 3 months. The apartment still looks like ours, but it doesn't feel like anyone's. His side of the bed stays untouched. I found one of his old shirts under the laundry basket. I folded it, then left it there for days, not ready to put it away. I haven't heard from him. No texts, no calls. He didn't block me, but he made it clear there's nothing left to say. At first, I expected something, a conversation, a confrontation, but nothing came. The silence is heavier than any fight could have been. People ask if I'm okay. I say we're giving each other time, that we're figuring things out. They nod. They don't want the truth. They don't want to hear that I watched someone love me and I tore that apart piece by piece. I don't sleep well. I dream of him sometimes. Not of what we were, but of the way he looked at me that last morning. Like he saw everything. And finally let it go. I've tried going out, dating, being seen, but it feels like performance. I fake smiles. I answer questions. I go home feeling even more invisible than before. I don't miss the thrill. I miss the way he made me feel safe in my own skin. Sometimes I open our old photos. I don't cry. I just study them. I try to see the version of me that existed through his eyes. She felt real. She felt worthy. Now she's gone. I think about that night he walked in, the way he stayed, how I thought I had power, control. But all I really had was someone still hoping I'd come back to him. And I didn't. I didn't stop. I didn't try. I gave him silence. And now that's all I have. There's no moral here. No grand lesson. I didn't change. I'm just quieter. I know what I did. I know what I broke. Sometimes losing someone isn't the punishment. It's knowing they were the only one who ever really saw you. And now there's no one left to lie to. No one asking questions. No one watching me disappear. And maybe that's the part I can't forgive myself for.